Coming up in the program, we'll see how the various title races are poised as we prepare for the season finale in Malaysia. We'll meet some of the familiar faces of endurance racing in Asia, as well as some of the new kids on the block. We'll preview what changes fans and drivers alike can expect for next season and beyond. And of course, bring you extended highlights of the final round of the 2015-16 Asian Le Mans Series, plus exclusive driver interviews and all the celebrations after the race. So sit back, hold tight, and join us for more thrilling Asian Le Mans Series action. Before we get into all of the action from the season finale in Sepang, let's take a quick look back at what happened last time out in Thailand. Another strong grid lined up in Thailand as the Asian Le Mans made its debut at the Chang International Circuit in Buriram. Youngsters Sean Galal and Antonio Giovinazzi were in sparkling form with the Eurasia team on their debut, throwing the LMP2 category wide open as they took the overall race victory. Race performance had won rounds 1 and 2, but their third place in Thailand means that Eurasia Motorsport could still catch them for the title. DC Racing took their third consecutive category win in LMP3 and already had a comfortable lead when their nearest rivals from Team AAI had this spin late on. In the GT category, the top three of Nexus Infinity, Absolute Racing and Team AAI number 91 car all finished within 10 seconds of each other. Nexus jumped to second in the overall classifications with their first podium of the year, but still trailed Clearwater Racing, who could only finish 5th in Thailand, despite wins in the previous 2 races. In the CN category, neither Avalon Formula nor Atlantic Racing Team made it to the end, meaning the two teams are neck and neck going into the final race of the season. Meanwhile, the GTM team finished in an impressive 12th overall in Buriram, with Paul Lip, Martin Rump and Juan Bo clinching the title for KCMG with 1 race to spare. But for most of the categories, there's still everything to play for, with the ultimate prize of an invitation to compete at the 24 Hours of Le Mans awaiting the winners. With an expanded driver lineup creating fierce battles across 5 categories, the Asian Le Mans Series has been growing at an impressive speed this season, meaning more action for all the fans. Let's meet some of the faces who have been around since the series first landed in Asia, as well as some of the new kids on the block.
It's been great. They've had to develop along with the championship. The ACO have put the team under, all of the teams under a lot of pressure to conform to their very strict regulations.
When the ACO announced the MP3 program, we thought it is a very interesting program. Hopefully, next year we can get more drivers to drive this category.
I've been really impressed with the series because it hasn't been around for that long, but the car count is quite high. So we're seeing a lot of progress, and I think Asia being a huge car market for many of the manufacturers, we're just going to continue to see it grow.
Well, definitely Bentley's here to get the brand exposure again, show the strength of their car, develop it a bit more for the rest of the season, and hopefully start off the year on a good result.
This is one of the reasons we try to make the most big team in the Asian Le Mans, because we know this is a very difficult job and a very hard job for our team.
Usually, I drive a GT car. My dream to drive this LMP3 car.
As a team, we've grown significantly within this championship. We feel very much at home here. Cyril and his team have made us feel very welcome.
I still pinch myself. I mean, every time I rock up to the garage, you know, for the first time for the weekend, I can't believe how lucky I am to be a part of the championship and to be driving these wonderful cars.
Welcome to the Sepang International Circuit for the season finale of the 2015-2016 Asian Le Mans Series. It may be the last race of the season, but it's ending on a high as 19 cars take to the starting grid to begin the 3 hours of Sepang. Drivers will be making their way around this iconic 5.5-kilometer circuit that is quite challenging indeed. The top 4 spots on the grid are occupied by the LMP2 category cars, with Algarve Pro Racing on pole position. Absolute Racing is the first GT car and will start 5th. while the LMP3 entry of Team AAI start in 7th position. Bentley Absolute team start 11th on the grid, with the CN entry of Avalon Formula in 15th place. The GTM entry of KCMG lines up 16th as 19 cars take to the starting grid. And as the lights go off, as expected, the 4 LMP2 cars on the first 2 rows of the grid were challenging for the lead going into turn 1. But the big winner was Antonio Giovinazzi, who jumped from 3rd to 1st, setting the tone for what was to be a very strong race from the number 9 Jaguar Ayam with Eurasia team. Meanwhile, young Frenchman Thomas Leroy was already charging up the field after his DC Racing LMP3 car had been forced to start from the back of the grid. Giorgio Maggi and Avalon Formula were leading the CN category, while Ollie Milroy was making good progress with Team AI's number 91 car in the GT category. Once again, the GT category was the strongest in the field with an impressive 10 entries for the final run in Malaysia. Christopher Mies had claimed the category pole position for Absolute Racing, ahead of Adley Fong in the Bentley Team Absolute and Rob Bell in Clearwater Racing's McLaren. There were early troubles for Eurasia's Richard Bradley, whose car suffered a coil failure on the first lap. Though he managed to tough it out for 5 laps before limping into the pits for lengthy repairs that put a massive dent in their title hopes.
Well, we found out the problem in 5 laps into the race, but the problem was there immediately. I knew because I got a very good start and I thought, oh, I could lead into turn 1. But then everybody else just seemed to pull away. So I came on the radio and said, we got no power. We need to look at the data. So I tried lots of things with the onboard computer, the traction control, anything just to change the electrics. And we think that we've had a cylinder go down. So we think we're running on 7 out of 8 cylinders, which is not ideal because that's about 50 horsepower. And, you know, you can't afford to be down by that much. So hopefully we can get it fixed and we'll be out there and we can keep pushing for a good result.
KCMG had already wrapped up the GTM title, but they faced new competition in Sepang from Team Starspeed Racing's Lamborghini Huracan. Lam Yu in Team AI's LMP3 entry started from 7th on the grid after Masataka Yanagada had scored the team's first category pole of the season. Nazrat Muzayin started behind the wheel for Spirit of Race, who were looking to move up from 3rd overall in the GT classifications. But out in front, Antonio Giovinazzi was setting his fastest lap time of the race, as he was already lapping some back markers and putting some daylight between him and Oliver Webb in the race performance car, who had maintained his 2nd position from the starting grid. In 3rd overall was Michael Moonman and Algarve Pro Racing, who had slipped back from starting from pole but was making steady progress here, passing Giorgio Maggi.
This is our place in the human race.
I was a kid, I was a big fan of racing. I've been dreaming to be in here and it's like having a good time here.
We won't stop dreaming.
Back on track, leader Antonio Giovinazzi was clearly enjoying his return to Sepang after he had previously secured his Formula Masters China title with Eurasia at the Malaysian circuit back in 2012. As we ride on board now with Spirit of Race, looking back at the 22-year-old Giovinazzi, who's actually the veteran driver for the number 9 team. And his raw pace makes up for any lack of endurance racing experience as he makes a clean pass. Incredible scenes meanwhile as fire broke out moments after Andrew Palmer had come in for a routine pit stop. But great work by the Absolute Racing fire chief, whose quick reaction saved an otherwise potential disaster.
We were just coming in to do the first pit stop, and then the car must have been not straight, or the fuel rig didn't go in straight. And as soon as the fuel rig engaged, it was fuel seeping out the side of the, it didn't seal properly. And so it must have dripped onto the rear brake disc or the rim or the exhaust, and then it caught fire. I was just in the car, and then they put the extinguisher. I couldn't see anything, couldn't breathe, all went down my throat and eyes. And unfortunate because we were in the lead.
How are you now, mate?
Yeah, better wash most of it off my face, so better. But car is in a big mess, so we need to clean it out, get it ready again. Luckily it wasn't damaged by fire, but we're going to go back out as soon as possible.
Ollie Webb said after the race he thought he had nailed his start, but was still overtaken into turn 1 by Giovinazzi. And that difference in pace certainly told early on. But Webb is no slouch as he navigates his way around the 5.5-kilometer Sepang International Circuit. He's got 2 cars ahead of him and he's lining them up to try and find a way past. But this LMP2 car has way more power than the GT car and the LMP3 car ahead of him. And you can see him here blasting past the 2 cars down the back Sepang straight. And he knew that he just had to finish to secure the title. Thomas Leroy continued his impressive opening stint for DC Racing, which was the first time he had started a race. The teenager would later win the Rookie of the Year award, thanks in part to his performance here, as he brought his car from the back of the grid and into the category lead. Here Leroy makes a clear pass on car number 93 as he begins to line up the next 2 cars ahead of him. Battles were continuing all over the track with another new entry, Bentley team's absolute number 66 car, also impressing on its debut. But Team AI's McLaren wasn't faring as well, with Tatsuya Tanigawa forced to pit after smoke appeared from his car. As Jagonya Ayam lead, Avalon Formula was continuing their march to the CN crown, with Swiss youngster Giorgio Maggi still behind the wheel. Ollie Milroy was also looking good in Team AI's BMW after qualifying in 9th place overall. But the heat caused some problems for another Team AAI entry.
I think maybe starting motor is overheating. I was changing starting motor.
Unfortunately, nearly an hour passed before they could rejoin the race.
You're watching Asia Le Mans. Don't go away.
Welcome back to the 3 hours of Sepang, and Ollie Webb was now on new tyres, having started on the old rubber using qualifying. And although his race performance team was more than a minute down on the lead car, the lap times were starting to improve. Tatsun Kim was putting in a much improved driver performance, but his number 9 Eurasia car was stuck in last place due to that earlier coil cylinder problem. As the halfway point of the race approached, the cars were beginning to settle into order, with Jagonya Ayam, Race Performance and Algarve Pro Racing leading the way, followed by Team AAI's BMW in the GT category and DC Racing in the LMP3 category in 5th place overall, after Thomas Leroy had handed back to team boss David Cheng for the second stint. Adley Fong had recovered well for Bentley Team Absolute, with the earlier pit lane fire only costing them an extra 10 minutes or so, and Fong was now looking to get back into the top 10. But Sean Galal was still leading for Jagonya Ayam, even though he had to serve a 1-minute stop-and-go penalty due to a pit stop infringement by his teammate Giovinazzi. British sports car racer Michael Moonman had taken the first stint for Algarve Pro Racing, mentioning later that the car's tyres take longer to get up to speed than others, which was partly responsible for another slow start, and then he handed over to Australian amateur Dean Kotsumidis, who in turn had handed over to his teammate and coach Jamie Winslow. There was plenty of action on the track, with Fong continuing to set some fast times, including the second fastest GT lap of the race. And watch at the left of the screen as Winslow roars past Akash Nandi in the KCMG Porsche, proving that endurance racing demands total concentration at all times. Niklas Luttweiler was back behind the wheel, and the Swiss driver was on course to claim the individual driver's title in the LMP2 category. Team AAI won the Best Team of the Year at the award ceremony for continuing their support of the Asia Le Mans series and entering 4 cars this season, with the number 91 BMW currently performing best on the track. The team was looking for another podium here, with team boss Junsan Chen taken over from Ollie Milroy. Meanwhile, GT category leaders Absolute Racing cleanly make their way past the Bentley going into turn 9. Although Algarve Pro Racing was a lap down on the leaders at this stage, the Portuguese outfit still had much to celebrate over the weekend, including a pole position and the fastest lap of the race, both thanks to Jamie Winslow, who had acted as mentor and coach to both his teammates, and enjoying a strong debut season in the championship, which had already seen 2 second-place finishes. And things were looking good for a 3rd straight podium finish, with the team sitting comfortably in 3rd place. Winslow here demonstrating the significant difference in power between his LMP2 car and DC Racing's LMP3 prototype. David Cheng was coming to the end of his stint with DC Racing in full control of the LMP3 category and a credible 4th place overall. Clearwater Racing's GT outfit were also in control of the category and were in a podium position after a disappointing 5th last time out in Thailand. But after wins in the opening 2 rounds, the driver trio of Mok Weng Sun, Rob Bell and Kitasawa knew that they only needed a 7th place finish to clinch the GT title, and the team was now in 4th position. Meanwhile, there was more trouble for Eurasia Motorsports, with a drive shaft failure ending William Look's hopes for further progress.
Basically, it lost drive, so William pulled off to the side. The marshals pushed it back into the pit lane, but the rule apparently is that the car can't be pushed back to the box unless it stopped going out of the pit lane. If it stops on track, then it has to go all the way round and back in. Of course, with no drive, it's impossible to do. So we had no choice but to retire the car.
After a fabulous season, with the grid growing race by race, thoughts are already turning towards next season. Let's hear from those in charge about what Asian racing fans can look forward to in the future.
We had 2 main objectives. Give people confidence again in the project. I mean, to the Asian motorsports community, teams and drivers, sponsors, etc. The other objective, of course, was to rebuild a very decent grid, which is the backbone of every motorsports championship.
For myself, I hope to grow this team into something that's something big in the sport.
Sure is an important market, not only for motorsport, but for business as well. And really, I see no reason why Asian Le Mans can't be in the same level as European Le Mans. If not higher in Asia, I don't see why not.
Without a doubt, you will see us in next year's championship. We will be here. We want to support the event. We very much enjoy the event. What can I say? We will definitely be here.
The basis of the endurance pyramid is the US series with the WeatherTech, the European Le Mans series, and the Asian Le Mans series is the 3rd pillar of this pyramid. After you have the WEC, the World Endurance Championship, and at the top you have the 24 hours of Le Mans. So our aim is to develop a strong series in ASEAN to attract drivers and team and so ASEAN manufacturers, and to see one day an ASEAN driver with an ASEAN team winning Le Mans in an LMP1.
With the race approaching the closing stages, let's take a quick look back at some of the pit stops from today. Team AAI Hubatu's AMG were one of the GT entries to head into the pit lane, sitting outside the overall top 10 and also outside of podium contention in the GT category. Ho Ping Tung was in charge of the final stint duties for DC Racing, and they had an extraordinary journey getting to the starting grid after not making qualifying and waiting for a part from France to be flown in specially just so they can make the grid. Sean Galal had earlier taken over the hot seat from Antonio Giovinazzi in the leading number 9 car, as the pair had built up a 40-second cushion out in front, though this was growing with every lap as the dominant Oreca Nissan continued to hum. It was also a true partnership between the Indonesia-based Jagunya Ayam outfit and the Philippine-registered Eurasia Motorsports, who were responsible for all technical and crew duties on the lead car. Back to the action, and Jamie Winslow was speeding around, setting the fastest lap of the race while putting in a 32-lap stint before he would hand back to Koutsoumides. We ride on board now with Ho Ping Tung, who's lining up the AI's McLaren, but the race leader Jagunya Ayam with Eurasia Motorsports come blasting past the both of them down the back of the Sepang Straight. Slovakian outfit ARC Bratislava were a welcome addition to this season's championship, with the team's high point being a 4th place category finish in Fuji, but they were also able to finish all 4 races. Avalon Formula would finish 14th overall, but it was enough to claim the CN category race win and the title with 51 points. Starspeed Racing finished as runners-up to the GTM champions KCMG, but a strong debut nonetheless.
Well, my stint was, it started a bit bad because on my out left, someone crashed on my left-hand side on T3. And then I was pushed out of the track. And from there, basically, I reset the car, restarted. And I had a pretty high hope for the new tires. And this is actually my first time trying Lamborghini and first time of trying endurance race. So it has been a great experience since then. I think I have done better than my first stint. So I'm pretty happy.
One of the performances of the afternoon came from Absolute Racing, whose trio of Jeffrey Lee, Alessio Piccarello and Christopher Mies finished 5th overall, comfortably winning the GT category. But no one could touch the youngsters Giovinazzi and Galel, who would go on to win by nearly 2 minutes at the end, with Jagonya Ayam using their two-driver strategy to perfection. Also on the two-driver strategy was race performance in second, with Oliver Webb and Nicholas Leutwiler each doing one long stint, separated by a brief pit stop. Nexus Infinity started with faint hopes of overhauling Clearwater Racing for the overall GT title. But their 4th place category finish, behind Absolute Racing, Team AAI's number 91 and Clearwater themselves, saw them end the season in 3rd overall, with Absolute's race win pipping them for the runners-up spot. Australian Dean Koutsoumides was back in the number 25 car for the final 11 laps and would take the checkered flag in 3rd overall. Ho Ping Tung finished 4th with DC Racing sweeping the LMP3 category, just 1 point short of a maximum 104, with Tung and Cheng jointly claiming their 3rd straight driver's title. While well beaten by Jagonya Ayam on the day, race performance clinched the Blue Ribbon LMP2 title, winning an invitation to the 24 Hours of Le Mans race later in the year, with Nicholas Leutwiler crossing in 2nd to make it official, while also claiming solo driver honours in the category. But the race win went to the Jagonya Ayam with Eurasia team, with Sean Galal coming across the finish line to make it 2 victories out of 2 races, and there's celebrations all around the Eurasia Motorsports garage. Despite the 1-minute stop-go penalty, they've come across the line first. So it's another win for the Jagonya Ayam with Eurasia team ahead of Race Performance and Algarve Pro Racing. Finishing 4th place is DC Racing in the LMP3 category, with Absolute Racing crossing the line in 5th place. Nexus Infinity finished 8th with Spirit of Race in 9th place, as the Bentley team Absolute make their debut and finish in 11th. 14th place goes to Avalon Formula, who win the CN category, and the GTM category is won by KCMG Racing, with only 3 cars not seeing the checkered flag. So Race Performance win the LMP2 category, DC Racing take top honours in LMP3, Avalon Formula win the CN category, and Clearwater Racing are the champions of the GT category, while the GTM is won by KCMG. Let's hear now from the winners.
It's been unreal the last 2 series. We worked really hard and the team worked really well. I think if we joined the full season, maybe we couldn't have a real fight in our hands. But amazing job by the team, by the sponsors who made it happen, and obviously the fans who made it here. But it's a very nice feeling.
The car was very good, especially after the issues we've had in free practice, which prevent us from qualifying. So we're just very, very happy, and big thanks to Onrook for delivering us the part overnight from France, and Romain, who actually physically took it here. Otherwise we would not have been here.
I'm very, very happy to have won this the CN category in the Asian Le Mans Series, and to do it with a guy like Giorgio. I mean, he drove mega. To have a teammate like him, I'm really stoked about it, and the boys did a mega job.
It's been nice, and I'm really happy that I did it with Absolute Racing, and Jeffrey and Chris he has a lot of experience and I could learn a lot from him this weekend. So yeah.
Luckily, we have a very good team and a very good driver lineup, a very balanced one, I would say, and managed to win it 4 in a row. So it's great to win again.
A wonderful Asia Le Mans series is wrapped up by an award ceremony to honour the drivers and teams in each category who fought hard for their victories. We look forward to more wheel-to-wheel action next season.
You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you're cool.
off the back of this year, everything is in line to grow.
The driver lineups as factory drivers, as drivers from all over the world. For sure, it's getting stronger and stronger.
It's been a significant growth, as you can see, from 2 years ago to now.
I think we're ending on a very high note. I believe that the grids are going to be bigger, better, more competitive.
So we're looking forward to a fantastic 2016-2017 season with at least 20 cars at each race, if not more. And I mean, don't miss it. Come back because this is happening now.
You know you could.